Hello, this is the Winnersh interchange. F***ing massive, isn't it? It connects the M4 and the A329M motorways in a rather spectacular fashion, and it's part of what I think is the greatest motorway that we didn't build, because had it been completed, it very likely would have solved the traffic issues we experience, and today we're going to talk about it. My name is John, welcome to Auto Shenanigans. Why not consider subscribing? Consider it, and then by the end of the video, you press the button. The origins of the greatest not-built motorway date back to the 1940s, when a chap called Patrick Abercrombie was tasked with the tasking task of coming up with a plan to build a network of major or arterial roads in and around Greater London. At this time, they'd noticed much of the area was undergoing some no-cost remodelling courtesy of the Luftwaffe, who flew all the way from Germany to help us out. And ever the optimist, Abercrombie saw the destruction of everything as an opportunity to create the perfect road network and in turn, the perfect future. Unfortunately, by the time we got around to putting that plan into action, it was no longer seen as the perfect solution because the plans were mostly London-centric, disregarding the rest of the country, and with vehicle ownership predicted to rise, they started to look at the road network as a countrywide affair, identifying what they called optimum traffic corridors. This would result in two plans, one known as the London Ringways Project, which would take care of the London bits, and another known as the Primary Road Network Plan, which would take care of the connections to and from London. Those connections would include many of the motorways that we use today, such as the M1, the M11, and as you can see behind me, the M4. The idea was that these motorways would connect key parts of the country to London for ease of transportation, with the M4, for example, being the London to South Wales motorway. There was also the M3 Southampton to London motorway, and this, along with the M4, are what led to the greatest motorway nearly being constructed, because at the time the plans included a motorway link between them known as the M31, which in itself doesn't sound that great, but we'll get to that. Starting in Reading, the M31 would have run for about 15 miles to the M3, passing by the M4 on the way, where we'd have found a huge motorway-to-motorway interchange. Wait, hang on a minute, we do. So they built it then? Not exactly, but they certainly made a start on it. What we call the A329M is actually the first 6 or 7 miles of the unbuilt or perhaps unfinished M31 motorway. The huge motorway interchange was built on the basis that there'd be a much busier motorway connecting to it, but that didn't exactly materialise, and today the A329M, aka M31, comes to an abrupt end at the Coppard Beach roundabout to the northwest of Bracknell. Ah, this is nice, isn't it? Trees, meadows, flowers, lovely. But there was supposed to be a motorway coming through here. What gives? Well, obviously they stopped building. We'll get on to why in a bit, because first let's look at what was supposed to happen, and through the lovely meadows, the M31 would have run alongside Bracknell before making a turn into the Swinley Forest. And it is a lovely forest, by the way. It would then likely pass underneath the A322 and loop around Bagshot before heading down towards the M3, where it would connect via a set of slip roads. Probably at this exact location, just to the east of Junction 3. It may even have connected directly to the junction. But whilst that was the initial plan for the M31, someone had a thought. What if we were to extend it but a matter of miles further to meet what at the time was planned to be Ringways 4 as part of the London Ringways project? This would allow for a speedy connection between Ringway 4, the M3 and M4 motorways. Great idea, so that's what they planned to do, and rather than the M31 end when it reached the M3, it would continue south through Woking, no one cares about Woking anyway, and then connect up with Ringway 4 near today's Junction 10 on the M25, which all sounds jolly lovely. So what happened and why wasn't it built? NIMBYs! Mostly, yes. Firstly, the residents of Bracknell were not happy about the motorway running around the town, and when the idea of extending it came up, the residents of Woking and Shearwater joined the anti-motorway party. For the most part, they were ignored. Such was the style at the time. However, with great political and financial pressures elsewhere, the remainder of the M31 ended up being cancelled anyway, along with any other motorway plans that hadn't made it to the construction stage. And now we get on to why the M31 is the greatest motorway not built, because after many cancellations, we ended up with the M25, which is suboptimal. The problem is that on the west side, we find the A3, M3, M4, M40 and Heathrow, all of which bring huge amounts of traffic that originally was to be shared between Ringways 3 and 4, but instead it's all squeezed onto a single motorway. Had the M31 been built, it would have saved the M25 from being a complete shit show. Traffic on the M3 and M4 would have been able to head down the M31 to pick up the M25 near Junction 10, bypassing the troublesome West M25. And of course, it's the same for traffic travelling in the opposite direction, meaning it probably wouldn't be a troublesome West M25 because it would be dealing with far less traffic. And I don't know, but it seems to me like today we'd still benefit from the M31's construction. Do we really care about a forest? We definitely don't care about Bracknell. So I suppose the massive Winnersh interchange and the A329M are physical relics of a fantastic idea, or they're a monument to a poorly thought out infrastructure project that was cancelled halfway through, resulting in little to no benefit to anyone. And you know what? I blame Bracknell. They're over there! Let's get them! Don't worry guys, I got them, and I got them good. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, bye-bye. Those connections would include many of the motorways that we use today, such as... Those connections would include many of the motorways... Those connections... Starting in Reading, the M31...